is our last speaker, and I'm going to be really quick. He is Bozhidar. I think all of you should know who he is. So I'm not going to say anything else, and I'm just going to say that based on what you see, it's going to be pretty interesting, and he will expect your participation. So let's welcome him.
Okay, let's get this party started. Do you still have energy for another? Okay, that's good. So, I've done this talk 0 times. I've practiced it 0 times. I have absolutely no idea how much time I will need. I'm pretty sure I'll do faster than JLo, so no promises. I do promise you that it will be worse than any other talk today, but it will be more fun. So, I'll try to reconcile those things because it's not always easy. Okay, so while I'm getting in the right state of mind, just before the talk, I realized I'm running very low on energy. But fortunately for us, this is Bulgaria, and we carry liquid energy with us everywhere. So I'm going to ask all of you who feel either tired or bored or are just entertained by what can happen after enough of the Bulgarian liquid energy to approach the stage and participate in the most Bulgarian thing you can do in the whole world. Now we are starting for real. Oh, I told you.
Cheers. Cheer with us.
Go, don't be shy. Ruby is all about friendship. Okay, so to Balkan Ruby, to Ruby, na zdrave! Okay. I'm becoming more and more confident in my ability to deliver a powerful closing talk. So before I start, JLo told me that I was a very negative person and I never smiled. So I took a note, and I'll be smiling, JLo. I already said the hello part. Clearly, I haven't practiced well. Supposedly, you all know me in one way, but I'm known in a different way. You know what's really interesting when you're the last speaker? The whole day you're thinking, everybody worked so hard on their presentation and you didn't. So this makes me feel a little bit bad, but it also gives me the opportunity to improve, plug items from everything that I learned during the day in my own presentation. So in an attempt to be competitive, I regenerated my entire presentation using ChatGPT just 15 minutes ago, and I think you love the results. Because I'm expected to say something about RuboCop on every presentation, it actually had its birthday. It had its birthday this Monday on the 21st of April. This is when I released RuboCop 000 because it was a complete zero back then. And 13 years later, critical age for every software project, still kind of strong. On Tuesday, I think something is wrong with the clicker. The suspense. Something amazing is coming. So, on Tuesday, RuboCop broke the top 60 most downloaded gems in the entire history of Ruby. 500 million downloads. But I'm afraid I don't have only good news today. Like, are there Italians here? Do you know what this is? Yes. And do you know where I was supposed to be today? So, in my advanced stage, I had started to forget stuff, and I booked a vacation with my wife, a hiking trip for a week in the Dolomites. And then I realized it's at the same dates as Boke and Ruby. I risked my life to be here. Because my wife is a very dangerous person, but it seems she's having fun. She sent me this picture like an hour ago. And let's see who of us is going to have a better time today. I'll be experimenting with a lot of things today. For instance, this is going to be my first presentation in over 10 years that is using a different Keynote template. And I'm not sure whether I like it, but I asked ChatGPT about the best one, and supposedly this is it. I also decided that I'm not going to use a single slide from a former presentation, and trust me, I had plenty of those. A few people asked me, are you worried to speak today? But this year is also the 20th year anniversary. This is my first talk, so I guess not as worried as 20 years ago. Okay, zero slide reuse. And plugging into other people's talks, I expected from Stefan's talk a lot more pain and tears because, I don't know, I cried a lot working with GraphQL. I asked ChatGPT to fix his presentation. My prompt was, give me Stefan crying properly after a day at the office working with GraphQL. And this is what I got. I told ChatGPT, mate, Stefan is one sexy motherfucker. It's not right. Make him sexy. And move this Ruby to a more appropriate place. And this is what I got. I was super entertained by Julia's talk. I love her talks. And I love the part about some of the names they have in her company. Because first of all, naming is hard. But second of all, great minds think alike. In our company, believe it or not, we also have a Delta Force team. And when I came up with the name, I thought it was so original that nobody else would do it. But we weren't always so original. In the early days of the company, we were naming the teams A, B, C, D, E, F. Around G, we realized that this was very hard to remember. So we decided to be fun and inspired. We renamed the A team to Armani because they were working on some public pages, and the public pages were supposed to be really sleek and fashionable and trendy. And we merged our D&G team, and they wanted to be even trendier and more fashionable than Armani. At some point, our CTO told me that I can create a new department in the company, name it however I want, and do it and give it whatever mandate I want. Of course, I named the department TechX because back then I liked Elon Musk. Today a little bit less. And I started to get wild with the names in the team. First, I started with the obvious things: DevX, development experience; FX. Any ideas? I must have been doing something special. This was the highlight of my naming career. This was the team that was supposed to fix our slow tests. They never achieved it. After 3 years working on this, then there were the blacksmiths who were given the worst tasks in the company, and they had to toil at them ad infinitum. And there were the goatsmiths. Everything they touched was pure goat. Lucky bastards. I hated them. And then there were the CIA, which meant CI awesomeness. We might have named it Make the CI Great Again, but our CI was never great, so we had to start somewhere. And this made me the director of the CIA for the first time in my life. And then there was this super special team, Rogue One, which was literally a team of one rogue developer that didn't like any project in the company and told me that if we gave him the projects that he liked, he would be so productive that he would outperform everybody else. And he single-handedly migrated us from Rails 3 to Rails 5, which I think meant that he meant business. But I have an actual talk of myself, as I mentioned. Let's see what I can tell you about lessons in innovation, a tale of innovation, or in other words, the things that Ruby got right. If you have followed my talks for the past 5-10 years, you know that often I'm the person who actually criticizes Ruby and says that we can be doing a lot of things better. But this doesn't mean that I don't appreciate what we have achieved. And recently I realized that probably many people have kind of forgotten a few of the greatest moments of the Ruby community, and I'd like to remind you today of them, so we can finish the conference on a very positive note. And yeah, Ruby is still not dead. Ruby in many ways is like Cobra Kai. Like Cobra Kai never dies, even if it had only 6 seasons. Ruby has had 30 seasons, and God knows how many more to come. And I'm certain that we have at least the ability to pull off 30 more. I was also amused by Pavel's presentation. First of all, amazing presentation. Second of all, he kind of stole my idea for tonight, because recently I also turned 40, and I dare say I looked pretty good when I did. I used this opportunity to hydrate myself. Important thing after Bulgarian energy drinks. So, you know, I had this big milestone in life, and like any average developer, I experienced a midlife crisis, programmer edition. First I was thinking, should I buy Ferraris and yachts and do it properly? I checked my bank account, and I realized maybe at 50. You know, in the absence of money, I had to have a more meaningful midlife crisis. I turned to Chinese philosophy first to analyze my life. I hope you've all seen this quote. I think it really is a great reflection of the problems that we have as human beings. If you are depressed, you're living in the past. If you're anxious, you're living in the future. I guess I'm a very weird individual because I'm constantly depressed and anxious. So it was kind of hard to decide how to fix my life. I could have done what Pavel was doing and embrace the AI hype, become a vibe coder, and become more competitive, I guess. But I'm old school. I was actually waiting for 2 years to pass until AI is trendy to see if it's still around before I embraced it. And I decided to rework my developer toolbox in the meantime. And what do I mean by this developer toolbox? Well, those are the things that I use every day. My text editor, my terminal emulator, my shell, boring stuff. But, they make me happy. I'm, in many ways, like J-Lo. I like to do some things for the sake of doing them. There might not be any benefit for me, for the company, other than they make me a little bit happier. So I explore a lot of technologies every day. This time I decided to go really big. I decided to relearn Vim, which is an epic endeavor in its own right, because typically people dedicate the entire lives to this, and I had something like 20 days, so I had to push myself. I decided to check what's happening in VS Code and Z. I heard about a super hyped terminal emulator called Ghosty. I had an item in my to-do from 15 years ago to check a mysterious shell called Fish. I like Batman, and I heard that somebody created a better cut called Bat, and I was like, this is something I need to explore. And because Vim doesn't have Magit, and I never learned to use git from the terminal. I needed some alternatives like lazy git, git.io, good stuff. So I had some revelations, and there is going to be Ruby here, so don't be afraid. First, I realized that no modern Vim user actually knows what's happening in their Vim config. I read somewhere, okay, I asked ChatGPT, how do I become a master of Vim? And it told me, install lazy Vim, and you are the prince of the universe, or princess, depending on how you feel. So I installed this, which was supposed to be a very simple starter pack for Vim. It installed like 200 plugins, and I had to read a book how to use lazy Vim and what are the plugins that it installed. It didn't used to be the case 20 years ago, so I'm not sure that the job of the software engineers is becoming simpler. Then I read that Helix was Vim for ordinary humans, and you could learn it in a week. This is true. Helix is probably the most interesting editor that I have tried in a very long time. That's basically a rewrite of Vim in Rust with a little bit of changes to the interaction model, but it's very similar to Vim. It has a couple of small problems, like number one, it doesn't have any extensions. So, you either love it or hate it, and I guess most people will hate it right now. But the good thing is that they're one pull request away from merging an extension system for Helix, which is a Lisp dialect written in Rust, super fast. It's called Steel. I think that this can be the next Emacs. So, bookmark Helix. I think all of you are going to be moving from VS Code to it within 2 years, and we'll have a check-in then. I switched to Fish. It's fucking amazing. Should have done it earlier. I deleted all of my configuration that I was accumulating for Z Shell in 17 years and replaced it with 10 lines of code, and it actually works better. So I must have been really distracted by something less important in life if I didn't do it earlier. This feature alone is worth switching to Fish. It has a concept of abbreviations that can be anywhere, like maybe in the beginning of the command, maybe in a special position in a command. It blew my mind, and my mind doesn't blow up very often because I need it. Ghosty, what's my verdict on it? It has a very beautiful artwork, and a nice name, but it's a terminal emulator. You can try it. 6 lines of configuration, and it replaced everything I was setting up in iTerm for 20 years. So I think it's a decent tool. I did realize I don't like an AI assistant in my terminal, and it felt very wrong for me to have to sign up for some service to be able to type commands. WarpDev, I'm looking at you. Any WarpDev users here? Admit it, it's a safe environment? No? Okay. And since the morning, I have been experimenting a lot with AI agents. I asked ChatGPT, how do I look? And now I'm a hipster vibe coder, I think. It's a pity I shaved yesterday, otherwise the resemblance was stunning. I did notice that ChatGPT struggles a little bit with Cyrillic. The Bulgarians in the audience might be amused by how Narodno Sabranie and Naroden Teatr are written. And this is after trying to fix it 10 times in a row. So there is going to be need, at least for Bulgarians. If you're a Spanish speaker, English speaker, you're going to be replaced by the AI very soon. But Bulgarians, we are special. I started to work on a new Emacs plugin, boring stuff. But if you felt that Copilot in VS Code was the shit, this is the real deal. Emacs is still the one true editor. This is what I realized. And Batman called me that there is going to be a sequel to Batman Forever. This is the logo for the movie. I'll remix it, don't worry. Okay, so here we get to the actual talk, this time for real. One of the things that I like more than tweaking my Emacs is experimenting with different programming languages. I think this is something that really helps us as engineers be more competitive, as this is one of the themes of the conference, and forward thinking. And this is also one of the reasons why I have been so vocal in my criticism for Ruby and some of the direction the language has taken in recent years, because I was observing what was happening in many other communities, and I felt that there were important lessons that we could have learned from them, and we weren't, which made me a little bit disappointed. During my midlife crisis, I decided to focus on the following languages for various reasons. I haven't touched JavaScript in a very long time. Last time I tried it, it still wasn't a real programming language. Like people were using vars because there wasn't anything else. But I've heard that it has improved a lot after ES6, so I wanted to check for myself. Then there is TypeScript, which has been taking the world by storm. So many things these days are written in TypeScript. And in general, I have been more and more interested in statically typed programming languages, as I've noticed that they offer some significant advantages when you're working on a more complicated code base. OCaml has been the programming language that I've spent the most time in recent times, and I'll say a little bit more about it later. I know it's an ancient programming language and most people are afraid of it, but there are still a lot of things that you can learn from it, and it has a place in the modern development ecosystem. For instance, the original Rust compiler was written in OCaml, which I think very few people know. F# is something like OCaml for .NET. It's a very interesting programming language, and because I want to become an AI vibe coder, I heard that Python is the place to be. So, throw some Python, yes. So, let's start with my observations. What other communities might have done better, and what we have done better in Ruby, if anything. So, okay, I start with JavaScript, and immediately I have this question in my mind. Why do they have so many package managers? There is npm, there is yarn, there is pnpm. This doesn't seem very natural to me. I guess some of you know npm originally didn't have the ability to specify the versions of the packages you wanted to install. So some Ruby developer created, I think it was Yehuda Katz, created yarn, which basically added something like the gem file lock to npm, and the JavaScript community was, wow, that's so good. Now I can do npm update and not break my application every time. So actually it becomes fun to update packages. Then npm copied this back, and now nobody is certain why yarn exists, but okay. And you also know that every time you run npm install, there is the risk that you run out of space, right? Node modules folder 120 gigabytes on the small projects, at least. So somebody created pnpm, which has the ability to share the same packages across different projects. Interesting concepts. I think something was fundamentally fucked up in the very beginning, and maybe this is an area where we did slightly better. And then when I started to play with Python, it was even funnier. Like, there is the very traditional easy install, which is anything but easy. There is pip, which supposedly is the canonical way to do things, but nobody wants to use it. There is poetry, which was the way to go until 3 months ago, when somebody decided to start rewriting the core Python tooling in Rust, because let's Rust all the things except TypeScript. And now we have UV, which, okay, we should be migrating to. I guess I started to relearn Python at a convenient point in time, so I can start with UV and hope that everything else dies. But there are risks. So I was thinking, okay, I really miss having just Ruby gems and bundler. And I really think that this type of foundational tooling is of the variety where less is more. I don't want to think about which build system to use, which package manager to use. I want to be happily writing applications and go with the flow. So 1 point for Ruby. We got this right. Then I want to share some observations on the language expressiveness and language consistency. So this is a little bit of Python snippet. I promise that there is going to be no complicated code like the GraphQL queries that Stefan was doing. That they're very hard to follow at 6 p.m., right? So this is something like how we wrote in Python. And you observe a couple of interesting aspects. Like, first of all, you need a special format string to be able to do interpolation in Python because it was added to the language relatively late. You always have to use the return keyword if you want to return some stuff. And Python is using significant white space, so we have the semicolon, the colon as delimiter for new indentation levels. It's not complicated, but at least I always preferred the look of the Ruby version. You know, we don't have those redundant returns. I really hate return everywhere. Our strings actually support interpolation and have always did this. So I think in this regard, it's a tiny thing, but we were a little bit forward thinking. And it gets better. Like, how do you repeat some operation in Python a few times? Obviously, there are many ways, but this is one popular way. And for me, this was one of the defining snippets of Ruby code. When I saw this almost 20 years ago, I was, this is so beautiful. This so clearly expresses my intention. And this was one of the reasons why I fell in love with Ruby. And now I'll show you why I didn't like Python. Like, when it comes to consistency, the number one area in Python that I always disliked was why are some methods special and are actually global functions. Like, there is absolutely no reason for something like len to be a function other than somebody putting it as a function in early versions of the language. Python, Ruby, fuck. Okay, it's not working. But it gets better. So something that we have to do pretty often, read files. This is how it looks in Ruby, you know, different ways to read a file. Memory efficient, less memory efficient, and the equivalent code in OCaml. This is from the official documentation of OCaml. Turned out they're not very good at updating the documentation because recently they added a more compact way to do things. But still, I kind of like the Ruby version a little bit more. And in every language that I have played with, the level of expressiveness was never at the same level as Ruby. So I think that this is one area where we can congratulate ourselves a little bit and say, we did it right. And it gets better. Standard library, core thing in every language. So in JavaScript, I was super amused about what was happening. There are literally thousands of libraries with 1-2 functions. The dependency graphs of every non-trivial application is epic. In OCaml, on the other hand, there are more or less no libraries. The standard library is like a desert, and the third-party ecosystem barely exists. So you have to get creative. And when you're coming from Ruby, it's really very hard to find a better execution of the standard library for many reasons. Are most of you aware that there are those efforts to gamify the standard library? Yes, no, maybe? Okay. In those gamification efforts, there are two levels of gems, the default gems that are always around, and you cannot remove them, and the bundle gems, which are installed with Ruby, but you can remove if needed. The beautiful thing here is that still everything is a gem, and it can be updated independently of Ruby, which is in stark contrast in what other languages are doing. Like, they introduce some changes to the standard library, and you have to upgrade the entire language runtime to get those updates. I'm always shocked when I see that somebody is trying to have a bigger monolith at the standard library level instead of being more modular. Ruby is doing a fantastic job here. If you're not familiar with this project, you can check it out at the stdgems org site. It's very, very detailed. And believe me when I say this, we did it right. And here it starts to become more fun. Libraries and frameworks. So beyond the standard library. When I started to play with OCaml, I was like, what is the OCaml Rails? I got this. Okay, what is the OCaml Sinatra? I got this. Like, it's very dangerous there and kind of depressing. But there is nothing. I ask people, what do you do for this? Well, we invent a library. How do you work with regular expressions? Nobody knows how to do this in OCaml. How do you work with Unicode strings? Oh, strings can be Unicode. Oh, that's interesting. So I was like, okay, maybe in JavaScript it will be a tiny bit better. I opened the NPM registry, 5 million libraries. And then I start to see some disturbing things. I alert to them a little bit earlier. Like, this guy claims he is maintaining 1,000 plus NPM packages. I was like, fuck this shit. 1,000 plus. I have been doing open source for almost 20 years, and I think I developed less than 50 libraries. So either he's very good, or all of us are very bad. And yeah, something is wrong in Denmark, and not only there. Something is even more wrong when you have so many libraries of, 11 lines of code. Do you remember how in 2016, one guy out of spite killed this amazingly useful library, leftpath, which literally adds one function, and he broke the internet? I don't know. Doesn't sound very normal to me. But it seems it's the norm in the world of JavaScript. I've also noticed that there is an epic churn there. Every few weeks, I check what are the hottest libraries in the world of JavaScript, and the answers are completely different. I really liked when they had a library called Batman.js. I hope that this one was going to win, but fuck you, React. There are infinite amounts of frameworks for everything, and it seems that they're growing exponentially. I have been trying to decide what should I learn at the beginning. Is it Express, Next, Nest, Koa, Happy, Adonis, Sales? And those were the ones that are trending right now. There are others. And I know I've many times said that one of the problems of the Ruby community is that everybody is writing Rails applications, but in this particular moment, I felt like this: give me my Rails. I don't want to think. I want to write code, and occasionally give me Sinatra when I feel like going the microservice route, and I want to inflict more pain on myself than with GraphQL script alone. GraphQL alone. So okay, I think that in Ruby land, we have a good library for pretty much everything. And moreover than this, I've noticed in my explorations of the other languages that in every community, everybody is so inspired by something from the Ruby community. And when I mean inspired, they copied it and changed the name. Ruby on Rails, Sinatra, like Express.js literally has in the name. We copied Sinatra and rewrote it in JavaScript. Okay. Rack. Every project out there that's using middleware in some shape or form is inspired by Rack. RSpec, this was a revolution in writing more descriptive tests, and some version of RSpec exists for every language that somebody actually uses. RBenv, and NVM and RBM. RVM. I haven't used it in a while. I keep using RBM, but both of them are copied very widely, so they must be good. JQ is something that is kind of forgotten. Do you know what JQ is? Yeah, so today there are like 1,000 static site generators, but 20 years ago there was just one. And this is where it all started. Here and there, I see that people are inspired by some other library. But I think it is very safe to say that compared to other communities, we are really, really ahead of the curve. So much groundbreaking innovation happened in the Ruby community. People have started to forget all of this, and they shouldn't, because this is precious. They also have forgotten what it is to have shitty documentation, because Ruby has probably one of the best documentations in all of the world of programming. When you compare what's available for Ruby to what's available for Haskell, OCaml, F#, Lua, and 90% of the other programming languages, you feel very lucky to be in the realm of Ruby, because LLMs do not operate on nothing. The more data they have to train themselves upon, the more useful the results that they provide. And we feed the LLMs a lot of useful data. So I think that Ruby is very well positioned in the era of vibe coding and other aspects of AI-powered coding. So we got this right. But I think that the most important aspect of any programming language is the community. How many of you have been programming for more than 15 years? Hands up. Okay. Rosso, what were you doing 15 years ago? Okay, I didn't expect this. Somebody discreetly raised their hand if you were programming in Java. Pavel. PHP. And how did you feel about the energy of the PHP community?
I kind of didn't know it existed back then, but it was like pre-Laravel era in framework. But I call it the dark times.
They're still in the dark times. J-Lo, how do you feel about the energy of the Java community 15 years ago?
Very old and enterprise. And I was very young. Maybe I wouldn't feel the same way now.
I was a young enterprise Java developer 15 years ago. This is actually from my resume. And back then, I didn't know that a concept like community existed, because everything in the Java world was so business-like, so transactional. Nobody cared about contributing to projects. Nobody wanted to go to conferences because the conferences were so fucking boring. And when you compare this with what we have in the Ruby community, the energy of the people, the positivity, I asked ChatGPT to create a sequence of my fondest Ruby memories, and I'll go through them with as many words as little words as I can. This is Ruby Kaigi 2018. No? Yes. Okay. So this is one of the first Ruby conferences that I attended. This is RubyConf Lithuania. And you can see that I actually owned the pink glasses that were my avatar for a very long time. This is me with Stefan when he was actually as young as the picture he's using for his presentations. This is Reus Girls, I think, a long time ago. This, I believe, is a boat trip in Sevilla, in Spain, with some really fun Rubists. I think we drank too much because I don't remember this trip very well. This is RubyConf in Kenya, the after party. I can highly recommend the conferences there. The giraffes are extremely friendly. This is RubyConf Israel, I think. This is Frozen Rails or Nordic Ruby or something like this. See, again, young Stefan. And young me. This is RubyConf Kiev a long time ago when the world was better. This is RubyConf in Minsk a long time ago. This is my graduation. I think ChatGPT made a mistake. In case you cannot recognize me, I'm this guy. And of course, in the Ruby community, we keep making new memories every day, mostly every night. A few memories from yesterday after the pub. I don't know how it is for you, but Ruby really inspired me to get involved in open source. Ruby inspired me to speak at conferences. Before my experience in the Ruby community, I think I had done like almost no open source work. I had spoken at a few events here, but I was mostly doing courses for programmers, for programming for beginners and stuff like this. And my interactions with the amazing people like you really inspired me. They changed the way I perceived the work. I stopped perceiving it as work, which was probably the most important thing. And Ruby didn't inspire just me. It inspired so many other communities. Martin yesterday had an amazing talk about the journey of Crystal. But many people forget that Ruby started the trend for languages that were transpiling to JavaScript. CoffeeScript today is mostly forgotten, but it was something groundbreaking. And what CoffeeScript was aiming for was to make JavaScript as approachable as Ruby, which was a novel goal that we never quite achieved, but maybe next time. Clojure had a lot of influence from Ruby as well, and Clojure was probably the language that changed the most the way I approach programming in recent years. If there is one other language that you want to learn besides Ruby, I'll never be tired of recommending Clojure. This is next level. And as I told Stefan, when you're using Clojure, GraphQL is actually a lot easier to work with. Elixir, created by one of our very own. So the connection there is obviously the inspiration that was drawn. Rust attracted a lot of notable Rubyists, and you can see the Ruby DNA stamped everywhere in the Rust community, especially when it comes to their amazing tooling and documentation. And there is more to this. There is a lot more that we as a community gave to the world. GitHub, created by a couple of people who just loved Ruby and Rails. YAML wasn't a thing before Rails made it a thing. Toml wasn't a thing before Tom made it a thing. Markdown, absolutely nobody used Markdown before GitHub made it a thing. And if you remember, the two original parsers, Red Carpet and Cramdown, were both on Ruby gems. So I think we are quite an innovative community. We might have forgotten it, but we were. And we have done a lot of things right. I know that today people are going to say, oh, but all of this is in the past. We are not innovating anymore. A lot of great people have left the community. And in Bulgaria, we have the recipe for this as well. It's called liquid innovation. So every time I'm wondering what to do next, I pour around 50 grams. If you pour less, you're not going to get good ideas. If you pour more, you probably won't be able to execute the ideas you get. So you pour a little bit. 10 out of 10. And you resort to the wisdom of the people. In Bulgaria we say, където е текло, пак ще тече. Or roughly translated into English, where water has flown, water will flow again. This was very hard for me to translate. But it means that if a community attracted innovative people, if a community attracted passionate people, this is probably going to repeat at some point. I think that Ruby has always been a lot more than Rails. And even though the people who are kind of the people who started the community are kind of maybe at the end of their energy and ability to drive the next wave of change, whether it's AI or just learn to use Vim properly. There are always going to be the next people who are going to pick up the baton and get us where we need to be. And I also remind you that our innovation stretches again further than Rails. Water and Capybara are to this day regarded two of the best tools for quality assurance, automated testing. Probably in the days of Docker, people have forgotten that Puppet was a Ruby tool. Chef, still a Ruby tool. Vagrant, again. We set on the journey that led us to the tools that we use today. And everybody who is using macOS is probably using Homebrew. I know that many people don't know, but it's written in Ruby. And I think it is an amazing project that makes it possible to survive the horrible dread that macOS usually is, if you're a Linux user normally. Fastlane is something that I think very few people here are probably going to know, but this is the most widely used tool for deploying Android and iOS applications. It is extremely, extremely popular in the mobile development community, and it is written in. Yes, we haven't conquered the AI frontier yet, but when you think about it, Python and Ruby have always been like cousins or very close relatives. So I think that there are no reasons why we couldn't replicate the amazing libraries that propelled Python into the prime time. And I think that the future for us is very bright. We got at least 100 things right. Oh shit, I didn't get something right and I triggered RuboCop. Okay, single quotes, yes. And I think that the future for our community is going to be exceptionally bright, if not today, when we drink enough liquid inspiration. So with all that said, I know that you're all tired. I'm wrapping it up in 15 minutes. I should have practiced, sorry, but I got inspired by some other people here. That's almost all, folks. There is just one more thing remaining before we wrap up this conference. I'd like to invite on stage J-Lo, the 7-time winner of X Factor España, to deliver some closing words of inspiration. Okay.
It's not words. It's like Ruby karaoke.
Sing along, everybody.
I can show you the world, shining, shimmering, splendid. Tell me, princess, now when did you last let your heart decide? I can open your eyes, take you wonder by wonder, over, sideways and under, on a magic car. Try. I'm a little bit sick, sorry. A new fantastic point of view. No one to tell us no, or where to go, or say we're only dreaming.
A whole new world, a dazzling place I never knew. But when I'm way up here, it's crystal clear that now I'm in a whole new world with you.
In a whole new world, you.
Unbelievable sights, indescribable feeling, soaring, tumbling, freewheeling through
close your eyes.
100,000 things
Your breath
to see.
gets better.
I'm like a shooting star. I've gone so far. I can't go back to where I used
new
to be.
world.
Every turn a surprise.
With new horizons
Every
to
moment
pursue.
ahead,
I'll chase them anywhere. There's time to spare. Let me share this whole new world with you. New world,
a whole new world.
that's where we'll be.
That's where we'll be.
A thrilling chase
A wondrous place
for you and me.
Too much
For all of Ruby. Now it's really all, folks.